Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shota Deolusegun. In today's video, we're going to dissect from the simple FoE, which is formula of everything, to the complex nature of universe. That is what we're going to actually delve deep into in today's video. Now we're going to look at how we can actually get to complex system from a simple system. And FoE, which is formula of everything, has really solved that. It has even solved the black hole information paradox, and we're going to look into that too in this video, but it's going to be brief, so I'm going to have a separate video on that to shed more light on that. So now let's look at the diagram on the board. If you have been watching my video, you're conversant with this particular diagram, which is time energy wave model. Now we're going to actually dissect. We want to see the full power of formula of everything, which is the formula right here. The T, the M equal capital UN plus 4M. Now, this particular formula, there is something so fascinating about this formula, and it is the nature of this formula being able to actually feed back on itself. Because you see that when you supply an input by substituting, by actually substituting your value in place of this M, the value, let's say you supply electron mass, which is 9.109 times 10 raised power minus 31 kilogram. If you put that in place of the M here and M here, you know that we're going to get the counterpart, which is the classical mass, and that is 2,277,250,000 kilograms. So that is that. Now, that if you use this classical mass worth, if you put that classical mass worth in place of this M in order to reconfirm this electron mass, then you will see that we can actually use the output that we generate from the input. We can use it, we can put it inside the formula again to reconfirm the input. Now, for you to now reconfirm this particular electron mass, you discover that instead of getting 9.109 times 10 raised power minus 31 kilogram, you will get 9.109 times 10 raised power minus 32 kilogram. Now we can see the dynamics of mass formation right there, and that is as a result of the suspension that we have right at the low energy state, and that suspension is being overridden by allowing the trajectory of that zero annihilation, which is moving from the classical suspension point to the quantum suspension point. So by traveling from the classical suspension point down to the quantum suspension point, we know that by this formula, it will actually move beyond the suspension region to acquire the real electrons mass. And as a result of that, when there is a form of nuclear fusion, there will be additional mass worth to that effect, and in the process there will be some certain energy that will be dissipated through radiation. So we can see that dynamics here, and that dynamics could result to the complex nature of the universe. It could result to complex nature of the universe. Now, when you look at what we have here, you will get the variation of what is being eventually formed as a result of the position of the input in the time energy wave model or beyond. So the position will determine whether the solution will be either optimized or part of the mass constituent will be exchanged for radiation or for heat. So that is that. We can see the dynamics here, and that dynamics is what actually leads to complex nature of the universe. So I'm going to talk more on that, but before I do that, I want us to look at the scenario of kicking a ball, which I have used in one of my previous videos. When you add additional force, or when you introduce force by kicking a ball, it follows this particular trajectory, then it stops right here. So from this analogy, we're going to get how the black hole information paradox is being solved here. Now, for the fact that the ball is being lifted from the ground and travel through the air to this final destination, it means that when it travels through this past phase, it will accumulate more mass because it is actually traveling against the gravitational field. And we know that as the ball is traveling in time, then the introduced energy is traveling inversely to time scaling. And as a result of that, we'll see that the energy trajectory, which is what we have here, will be contracted in such a way that it will generate radiation, which will support the mass formation at classical region. And that will result to additional accumulation of mass for the real ball, the physical ball. But at quantum level, the particles, they vibrate more as a result of that introduced force or energy. And so as the time expands relative to energy, then the particles will cool off, and as they get to this low energy state, it will be so cooled off to the point that we can have a particle. But we shouldn't forget that this rest state is just an arbitrary rest state. So it is not a real rest state. So it's more or less like a state. It's more or less like a boundary within which the particle can, vibrate. So its movement is being reduced here. And so if we measure this by supplying this wave amplitude, we're going to get the mass worth of electron while in motion, and that is 0.00000000143 or 1423. That is what we get. So now the dynamics is so rampant at quantum level, and we can see the asymmetric nature of the universe at quantum level. So we need to go beyond the domain, the territory of time energy wave model, in order to get the full picture of the quantum region and classical region. So that is the essence. And by the virtue of traveling beyond the time energy wave model, then we now have these dynamics which can actually lead to complex system. So now, as the ball travels through the past phase, there will be accumulation of mass. And at the present phase, don't forget that this present phase is what we have right here. And that is because we have contraction right here. So we have tiny particle worth relative to huge mass formation. And so we know that based on how past, future, and present is being defined using this system, We know that the classical region is the past, while the quantum region is the future. So now at the present phase, we have combination of the past and the future. So now what actually constitutes the present is the is the combination of instant combination of the past and the future. So the sense of the present is the combination of the two at inertial state. That is what the present is telling us. Now this point is the transiting point. The present point is the transiting point from the past phase into the future phase. So when it reaches the extreme top, so then the ball will be descending. So the future phase will now be the descending phase. So as the ball is descending, here at past phase, it accumulates more mass, and in the future phase, it's actually shedding the mass. Not only the mass that is being accumulated, as well as even the original mass. And that is synonymous to what Einstein said, that when a lift is being accelerated and it's coming down, the person inside will feel light in the lift. And so the essence of feeling light is mass decay. But since we have time ahead of energy, the time is still ahead of energy, so the decay effect will not be visible, will not be what we see. So the decay effect will not be visible, and we will have it in form of lightness, like the mass will be light. But something happens. The moment the ball touches the ground, then the ball can actually reclaim its mass worth, because by landing on the ground, then the weight will be reclaimed. The weight of the ball will be reclaimed, and then the energy is being passed through the ground. So the energy, the momentum, the additional energy will be passed through the ground. Now the question now is, the mass that we now have, will it be the same as the original mass before the introduction of the force of kicking the ball? That is the question we need to ask. And then based on the formula of everything, you know that each time you pass beyond the boundary, then whatever you try to get, the mass worth will be either lower or be increased, because that is what actually activates the dynamics of the system that eventually leads to complex nature of the universe. Okay, so we have that as that. So now another thing we need to know is that this region is known as nuclear fusion. Why this region is known as nuclear fission? Then the nuclear fusion, we know that when deuterium and tritium, when they collide, when they merge together, because before, when they are at the point of merging, the repulsive force will be more intense, and that is actually referring to the boundary at the edge that would not allow them to merge. But once they have necessary energy and temperature to override that, then they will merge into helium, which is bigger, which is an element that has bigger mass. So we know that the nuclear fusion that we have here is to have additional mass in order to actually expand time energy wave model. And why the nuclear fission is just to decay, to the mass you have will be reducing towards the singularity, till the point that it will be so so tiny. Then the conversion of that mass decay will be to energy density. So the mass that is being so decayed will then be transformed to energy density. Now, another thing that we need to look at, which is also powerful, is this 369. I want to briefly explain that. This number, it is being introduced by Nikola Tesla. Then Nikola Tesla said that we have to think in terms of vibration, frequency, and energy if we want to know the true nature of the universe. But in my own case, I have a poem on this particular 369, and there I said that we need to think in terms of worth, energy, and reality. Now, this 3 stands for reality, because these 3 represent the present phase, and you see that we have it right inside the stacked 9 and 6. So the 6 is pointing to the future. This 6 represents future. The 9 is pointing to the past. The 9 represents the past. And so we know what that means. 9, the past, is where we have matter and where we have convergence of mass. So that phase is analogous to worth. And then we have the present. The present is transiting point. So 3, because we have double circle to form that infinity symbol. So 3 is the ideal number to actually, and if you see the curvature of the 3 that we have represent the low energy state in the position phase and the momentum phase. So energy will come from the past into the 3, and 3 will transfer it into the future. That is the essence of 3. 3 is more or less like a connector. And so you see that we usually have additional energy force at the low energy state, because when you look at the fixed point, this fixed point, the low energy state fixed point, is the stable fixed point, while this is unstable fixed point. Any slight introduction of energy would cause this one to roll down, but we need a tangible additional force to make this one to climb this hill towards the singularity of the future. And that is why this low energy state is very essential. So the 2 low energy states that we have is where the main miracle or magic happens, and that is why this 3 is the ideal connector in that 369. Well, if you want to know more about this, you can get my book on Amazon. It is right there. Then you read more on that. So when you look at the vibration, frequency, then energy that Nikola Tesla talked about, they are more or less like same thing, because the frequency is talking about the circles of energy per the time measure and all that. Then the vibration, so they are more or less like same thing. But 369, the whole universe is made up of, if we want to know the full the true nature of the universe, we need to think in terms of worth. The worth that actually leads to mass formation. Then the reality, because at the present we have reality. It is at this present that we know that the instant combination of the past and the future is what makes up the present. And what that is telling us is that it's actually pointing to the importance of uniform momentum and even instant momentum, which is faster than the speed of light, just as what we have in entanglement. Now, relativity is synonymous to entanglement. Now, I've said it in one of my previous video that if you want to move in space, there is no way you move from one point to another point without exhibiting the nature of relativity. And that is why the time is so powerful. Time is so powerful. If you look at how time is relating, or how time is actually operating relative to energy, you see that time regulates the intensity of energy. So if you really want to have power as to how you can effectively use energy, you need to know how to control time. So time, when it scales wide, it reduces the intensity of energy. And then when it scales narrow, it increases the intensity of energy. So time is so powerful here. And another thing we need to know is that for event to even be visible or to be visible, it has to be in the face of energy is timed. When energy is timed, then the event can be visible. But there is another phase, which is energy is energized, which is where we have the reality of traveling beyond the time energy wave constraint to get the actual mass worth of electron. And by injecting that mass worth into a very small space at the quantum level, then we have accelerated momentum towards future singularity, which is black hole. So now, if we now want to explain that black hole information paradox, we see that just at the edge, the region, the edge of this is the black hole, and this present phase, we can liken that to event horizon. Now, the information we have at event horizon is enough to actually tell us what will happen inside the black hole. Now, what we have in the event horizon region, or at the event horizons region, is that the trajectory will travel beyond the limit of time energy wave model. Then it gets the real mass worth of electron. It pumps that back into the system to accelerate towards the black hole singularity. What that is telling us is that information, even though there is radiation in the black hole, there is possibility for us to regain information, because since we have suspension right at the edge in the event horizon, that means that there could be a boundary too at the singularity, at that region of that singularity point. Though we have double forces, traveling towards the singularity, they may actually override the suspension and travel through the singularity. You understand? But even though they travel through the singularity, there is possibility for them to get the actual mass worth of what travels into the singularity and then bring it back into our world. Just as some scientists have said it, that there must be a way that we regain information, then extract it from black hole. But Stephen Hawking said that based on the radiation, there is possibility for us to actually lose, to lose information inside the black hole. But that may not be true based on what we have by formula of everything. Good. So now, another thing that I want us to look at, which is the major topic, complex nature of the universe. This complex nature of the universe, based on the dynamics of the mass worth of electron, you know that when the trajectory, the moment the trajectory travels beyond to get this real mass worth, it has given it power to be dynamic, such that if you repeat this value inside the formula, you will be getting different value per every input. And that is the dynamic nature of the universe. So the dynamics is even based on the position of electron at a point in time. The position of that electron at first instance will determine what the eventual mass what will be when you input that value again into the formula. And that dynamics is what could lead to different features of masses and all entity formation that we have in the universe. So that is that. And another thing I want to actually stretch that I want to expatiate on is the power of this formula of everything. Well, if you see that you have triangles, you have equilateral triangle here, and then there is a flipped triangle here as well. Well, this is just basically representing or illustrating the effect of relativity. Before you can move from one point to another point, there must be a flipped trajectory, and that is what we have here. And that also could lead to why is it that the image that we have inside the projector is being inverted relative to the outer image. That is another question that we need to ask. So when we look at it, we may even say that we can see the effect of that relativity on light as well, as it travels from one point to another. So anything that has power to travel from one point to another must obey the law of relativity, and that is to flip. Now, I have said it in one of my previous videos. In one of my previous videos, that it is not that time is the fourth dimension. Time emerges from the singularity as energy emerges, and from the interaction of energy to time, we have space. And I said that space is not even emergent. Don't even think that space is emergent as a result of that relativistic scaling of time to energy. Space also emerges from the singularity. It's just that it then gains the openness when by the interaction of time to energy. So that is being solved like that. Then what we need to know is that we know that by having the suspension here, then we need to annihilate the suspended zeros. And so by annihilating it, that is when we have this, that is when we now have this vertical bar, which is instant, and this is actually telling us, and you can see that the trajectory travels beyond the time energy wave model. It's actually supporting the entanglement, that entanglement is faster than the speed of light. And this part of the triangle that we have here, which is this one represents uniform momentum, and that uniform momentum is the constancy or constant nature of light that we have right there. So it is uniform. So that uniformity is needed and necessary for us to have this singularity. So we need symmetry to have the singularity at the center. Now, don't forget that by having equilateral triangle, it simply means that this triangle has 3 line symmetries. So there is one symmetry that cuts across this, and then another symmetry that cuts across like that, and then there is a central symmetry. We have 3 line symmetries by having equilateral triangle. And then apart from that, we even have rotational symmetries of 3 orders. You understand? So those are the features of the universe that contributes to the complex nature of the universe. So all those spinning of particles and all that, they have effect. So like I say the other time, time is so powerful that it regulates energy's intensity, and that could, contribute to, spontaneous changes in the universe. You understand? So even without having additional introduction of energy, we have an automated system that can generate or lead to complex nature of the universe, and that as well could be seen as uh, as a uh, as a perpetual motion machine, because this is a I mean, this is more or less like cyclic system. So it will go from the position phase to the momentum phase, then it will start all over again, and then we have that infinity symbol as what we have on the board. So that is that about formula of everything, how we can actually move from the from applying formula of everything as simple as it is to the complex nature of the universe. Well, this is a novel discovery, and I'm going to put links to my research publications in the description below, and also I'm going to put link to my published book on Amazon, and as well I may put my LinkedIn profile account also there. So anyone, you can just click on the research publication. It is free of charge. You can use the maths to arrive at the solutions we have on the board. Then don't forget to like this video. If you like it for real, make sure you click on the like button. Then don't hesitate to share it with your friends. Share it within your science community. Let it travel as far as possible. Then you can as well put down your comments in the comment section. I would like to know what your opinion is concerning this. So this formula of everything is a powerful formula that feeds back on itself, and it is so dynamic in generating its results, which is output. And it's a kind of system because the input can be changed, and the inputs can be supplied dynamically. It's a powerful formula that illustrates the entirety of the universe as it is. So that is that about the video. Then make sure, don't forget to comment, let me know your opinion, so that will help me to keep on supplying you with novel videos. So everything, if you go through all my videos, they are novel videos, because this discovery is a novel discovery. And so I'm so grateful for your time. God bless you. Thank you.